Will the new High Elf team change the meta? In this video, we are going to talk about, guess what, the new High Elves. I was super lucky to get my hands on a Spike issue 21 and a new box of the High Elves, so I could really understand, are they going to change the meta or are they just another elf team? Before we get into the video, I just want to do a quick shout out to my channel partner, Venator Tabletop Gaming. They gave me the ability to be able to do this review. They managed to source me the team and the Spike issue. So if you are looking for any hobby supplies or looking for a place to play and you are in the West Midlands, head down, go see the team. They will look after you. If you are looking for something online, head online, go check them out and use the code AfterHours5. That way you can support them and support the channel too. Thank you very much. Let's get into the video. So to start off with, we're going to look at the individual positionals. Now, the first one we're going to look at is the High Elf lineman. Now, at 65k, these are a total utility piece with movement 6, strength 3, edge 2, which I think is incredible, passing 3+. Now, let's put that into perspective. My Amazon thrower is passing 3+, and an incredible armor value of 9+. You know, I think arguably these are some of the best linemen in the game at the moment. You know, they've got such the ability to be, you know, used in so many different ways. They could be a ball carrier if you need to. They could even sling a short pass if you need to. You know, they're going to be dodging out a lot. And, you know, strength 3, as most of, you know, linemen are, you know, isn't bad. You know, I genuinely think these linemen are going to be hands down the best in Bloodbowl very soon. Now, moving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Phoenix Warriors as well, right? Now, the Phoenix Warriors are the throwers of the High Elves team. Now, the High Elves of old were throwers, so we're expecting this position to be quite good. And when you look at them, they are, okay? So again, 90k. So, you know, a little bit more expensive than other throwers, but I think, you know, you get what you pay for. So they're movement 6, strength 3, which is to be expected, edge 2, like the rest of the team, but they are passing 2+. So I think they are the best passers in Blood Bowl. And with an armor value of 9+ as well, you know, I think these, you know, taking one of these in your team would be super important. Now they do have skills like pass and save pass. Now pass obviously gives you the ability to re-roll a pass action. Save pass gives you the ability, if you roll a natural 1, that you hold on to the ball so you don't fumble it. So realistically, if you're doing a short pass with one of these throwers, you know, the worst thing that can happen is that you keep the ball in your hand and the ball doesn't go where it needs to go. But, you know, you don't drop it, you don't fall over. It's fantastic. And, you know, an exceptional skill here is Cloudburster. So, you know, that stops your opponent from intercepting the ball. So realistically, if you are going for a long bomb on a 5-up, you know, you roll a 1, you hold on to it. So you're only failing on a 2, 3, 4. You know, your opponent can't intercept it. You know, I'm starting to like those odds. And you know what? It's kind of the Blood Bowl game I really am looking forward to. Is slinging the ball a little bit. The next sort of position is their sort of blitzer, their runner. You know, they have lost their catchers, this team. So, you know, but the Dragon Prince, 110k, I think for what you get, I think that's a really good price. I generally think that's a really good price. So they are movement 8. So they have got some incredible speed. They are strength 3, which is to be expected. They are edge 2, again to be expected. Their passing is 4-up. And again, their armor value is 9+. You know, that is some really, really good core stats. And you know, with the skills like block, you know, and steady footing. So, you know, block is going to be really, really handy to put your opponent on the deck. And steady footing is going to be a really, really, really important skill. And it's only going to come out occasionally, but to keep them standing up. Because obviously steady footing, you know, when you go down, if you roll a d6 and hit a 6, they stay standing, which I think is a really incredible skill and will come clutch. The only negative trait really, and the one thing that I love from a lore and a thematic sense, is the my ball. So if they have the ball in their hands, they ain't giving it up unless it gets knocked out and they drop it. Okay, so you know, you've got to be careful because you don't want to be in sort of towards your end zone with this player holding the ball, because then you're going to have to make sure that this individual player works it down the pitch with support from the team, because there's going to be no handoffs, no passing. So I really, really like the shift they've done with this, especially with my ball. Really excited to see what these guys are going to be like on the pitch. And sort of the last one, which to me was a little bit surprising, which is the White Lions. Now, there are again 110,000 coins, which is kind of be expected with the status line. Movement 7, so really, really good movement. Strength 3, Edge 2 expected, passing 3 plus, and AV 9 plus again, right? So they're kind of following that same sort of trajectory across the team. But what's really, really exciting about this is that it's got claws. Now, they're going to be the can opener against big guys, right? They're going to be able to target high armor, you know, dwarfs, some of the big guys in other teams, and, you know, take them out of the game, which for an elf team is incredible, right? Because if you start taking out some of those strength 4, strength 5, you know, pieces, you know, the team that you're probably facing is become a lot weaker, and you're going to be able to utilize that to your effect. Now, another skill that I would never put with claw, but I really like it, it's wrestle. So on a both down result, you know, you can choose to just drop both of them where they are, and that gives you a little bit of security. It could also be very, very handy for these guys hunting and trying to sack the ball carrier. With that edge too, you know, dodging into a tackle zone potentially is only going to be a 3 or 4 up, you know, if you're sensible with it. Now, realistically, if you have a team reroll as well, that becomes way more achievable. And you know, one of the exciting things that I'm looking forward to trying this particular position out in a league or a tournament environment is giving one of these guys strip ball, right? So they're dodging in on, let's say, a 4 up with a reroll. It potentially will be a 1 die block or a 2 die uphill, depending on what it looks like. But you then have the ability to knock that ball carrier down and take the ball from them, as in push them back, and they lose the ball anyway. So realistically, because of wrestle, both down, the ball's coming out. Because of floor, you know, you're gonna damage them. You know, put block on them. That will help as well. You know, there's loads of exciting bits a part of this character that I'm really excited to see on the tabletop. Now let's look at a starting roster. If you were to buy a box in the shop, what league roster could you start with? Now, you could start with 2 Dragon Princes. Now, and this is probably the league roster I will start with when I go into a league with them, right? 2 Dragon Princes, 1 White Lion, 2 Phoenix Warriors, and 6 Linemen. 2 rerolls, all come to 1,000,000 GP. Now, okay, there could be an argument here to be said. You remove one of the throwers, put another lineman in maybe, or you remove one of the throwers and try and get the other White Lion in. It really just depends on how you want to play them. But I think the Phoenix Warriors are such good passers that there's actually, you know, this starting roster is a really nice starting roster. You obviously get the rerolls. You don't get an apothecary, which can be a challenge. But with the AV9, I'm not too worried about that. Or I wouldn't be too worried about it anyway. But in the comments below, tell me if you completely disagree, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. And from a starting roster for a tournament, which I am really, really excited to take these guys to a tournament, is, as you can see, I've only got 1 thrower. I would put Cannoneer on them, right? Because that gives you a -1 to long bombs. So you could theoretically be throwing the ball downfield on a 4+. You could do a long bomb on a 4+ with a reroll. And with safe pass on a natural 1, you keep the ball. So realistically, 2, 3, you're failing, right? 4, you know, you're succeeding. So you've only got 2 options for that to fail. So that's a really exciting prospect. And that kind of goes on to my choices when it comes to a starting roster for this tournament in terms of the Dragon Princes. Like, I really like the idea of making them blodge, because I think that's a really powerful combination with movement 8. But I also really like the idea of hit and run. Now, whoever doesn't know what hit and run is as a skill. It's really, really useful. So what happens is if the Dragon Prince does a block or a blitz, after that, they can actually move one free square of movement. They can't move into a tackle zone. So when you think about it, you could actually get, you know, an extra movement. So they go from movement 8 to movement 9. And then you've got some go for it's on there. You know, you could potentially say you want to risk the 2 go for it's, you're feeling frisky, you know, you're then soon going to be potentially get 11 squares in one movement. You know, look at other teams that are that fast. Skaven, maybe not movement 11, but Skaven are so fast, they can make the board in 2. You know, nothing stops the Dragon Princes. So I really like hit and run for at least one of the Dragon Princes anyway. Now, the White Lions. Now, this is an interesting choice. So I've got one of them with strip ball. As I said, you push them back, you know, you get into a cage, you dodge into a cage, you do a 1 dice block, and you push them back. Well, they drop the ball, you know, so you're able to sack that, you know, sack that ball carrier and remove the ball to make it difficult for your opponent to get that ball back. Now, the other White Lion, I've actually put Mighty Blow, because I think with Claws and Mighty Blow, whoa, that is a an incredible combination, right? You know, you could really cause some damage to any opponent in a league. And the last skill I've put on, because I've thought these would probably be, my opinion is they're going to be tier 1 when it comes to tournaments. So that normally means they get 6 skills. As you can see at the total, my next tournament that I am playing with this team is 1,150,000 gold pieces. So that's kind of why I built this. There will be some variance depending on what coins you get per tournament. And the last skill I've got is for alignment. I either have Wrestle, because I quite like Wrestle. I think Wrestle is a really good, powerful skill for alignment. Or if you wanted to get a bit cheeky with it, you could go Kick. So then you can basically control where your opponent starts off with the ball. So you can really, really put them under pressure, especially with your movement 7, movement 8 pieces. You can really put them under pressure really quickly, which is a nice place to be. You also, with this particular list, you'll get 2 rerolls, which is important. You'll also get an apothecary. Now, I'm not too worried about the armor value of 9. I think that's quite strong, but an apothecary always really handy to have around in a league. And the last thing we're going to talk about, which I was really happy when I read it, was the Spike issue 21. Now, one of the coolest things about this issue is the spectacle of the Flame Eternal. Now, this is a dedicated sort of elf, you know, match play, tournament, league type of style, where it lets you dedicate your team to one of the 8 elf deities. You know, one of the best ones I found, when I was reading it, was Blessing of Azurin, I think it's called. It essentially gives you a once per game divine reroll, and that actually basically gives you the ability to reroll a reroll, which I really like the flavor of it. So that's really exciting. And any elf cultures looking to get high elves definitely need to get this Spike issue, because I think it's got some loads of cool lore and flavor facts in there that I love, and I'm sure you will love as well. So realistically, what is my final verdict? As you probably tell by that video, I love them. I think they're going to be really, really fun and exciting to play with. You know, throwing that ball down the field, it's going to be amazing. But realistically, to answer my question, you know, are they going to change the meta? Well, they're not your average elves. And I really, really do think they're going to shake it up, because that armor value of 9, you know, claws against big guys, the passing game, it's going to be a really fun team to play. And I generally think they are going to be, if not one of the best teams, you know, at least top 5 in Blood Bowl for a little while. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe, because obviously the more people I have watching these, the more I can grow and the more I can do. And I hope to see you at the tabletop very soon.